the day this comes out will be the day after my birthday, and I don't remember you wishing me for my birthday.
It's not your birthday yet, that's why.
It is on the day this comes out.
When is this coming out?
On the 6th, so you're a day late.
Oh, okay, well, I would have wished you a happy birthday on the 5th.
Okay, we'll do it with less attitude next time, please. Also, I have a confession to make.
What have you done?
I laughed at you about the egg thing, the Humpty Dumpty thing. I was wrong. I mean, you were more wrong.
Yeah, but what were you wrong about? That it's not called a Humpty Dumpty?
The thing is, the Humpty Dumpty was actually a cannon from the Civil War. It wasn't part of medieval weaponry or like war tactics. I went away and I was like, I need to add a photo of what I'm talking about in the thing. And then I Googled it and I was like, that's not what I was talking about. I was like, oh, God, yeah. So when I said that I'd been right about one thing for the first time in our podcast, turns out I was wrong. But I'm not too big to admit it, you know.
Are you adding a little caveat over that in the actual episode, or we just?
I was contemplating whether or not I deleted that section.
I'd have been fuming. What a snake!
But I think what I'm going to do is put words over it, like she now knows that she was a twat who was wrong.
Yeah, okay.
And then in this one, they'll see that you know, I can admit when I'm wrong. Contrary to belief.
You're a big person.
Big person, very self-reflective.
Yes, yes. New year, new me.
Yep. And I still wasn't as wrong as you thinking that it was a man who became an egg. Welcome to our podcast, 26 to Life.
Where, after 26 years of friendship, we have been together for longer than a life sentence.
Are we going to rename this? Because next year we're going to have been friends for 27 years.
No, we can't rename it because...
We can't. It's just the time I mean, it's to life, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. We obviously started this
in 26 to Life.
Yes.
No,
yeah.
not when we're 26. And in this podcast, Rosie and I tell each other true crime stories that hopefully the other one has not heard. We're not allowed to secretly Google, even though it's in our calendar. And
we just got to trust each other.
We just got to trust each other. And why have we focused on the UK, Rose?
Just because there's so many crimes that even now that we're researching, I've realised that we just don't know about and people don't talk about enough. And there probably isn't enough media attention around a lot of them. A lot of the podcasts that I listen to personally are all based on international crimes in North America, primarily, really. And so I just want to bring a little bit more notice to
ones that
local,
are happening at home.
Ones that are closer to home, yeah. And some of them really are close to home, which is terrifying.
Well, that takes us beautifully into my episode today because...
Amazing.
What I am talking about is rage-inducing, anxiety-inducing. I feel very angry about this one. I mean, all murder is awful.
Triggered.
Yeah, this one's really triggering. So this one is a 5-minute drive from my house. It is where I've taken the children to play and the dogs to play. So this
you only have one child.
Jay's kids as well.
Oh, I was like, the children.
I don't take Leo independently. I only will go to the park if Jay is coming with me because I don't like parks. I don't understand them. Like, they don't want to go, and then when we get there, they're bored and they want to leave. And then you say, okay, let's go home, and then they never want to leave. And it's like, I don't really understand what's wrong with all of you.
Okay.
So rarely do I go to this park, I'll be honest. It's not a regular occurrence. But if I wanted to, I could. Is my point. Super, super close. And I remember this case happening, and I remember the kind of what's the word? I remember the investigation. I remember the trial. I remember the outrage. And so let's get into it.
Let's do it.
On the 17th of September 2021, so if you remember, we were in that kind of weird post-lockdown, but kind of going back into lockdown times. There was we can't really call him a human or a man. He's just a bit of a waste of oxygen. But anyway, his name was Kosi Selamaj, and...
Wait, 2021? So I was there with you in London, wasn't I?
You were. You were living here with me.
Yeah.
So 5 minutes from our house, this was happening. I was going to Google how to correctly say his name, and then I realised I don't care. From now on, we're just going to refer to him as the murderer, because we really don't have time to be saying his name.
Yeah, we don't need to give him a name.
No. So he checked in to a hotel that he had booked 3 days prior at Eastbourne's Grand Hotel. Now, what would that possibly have to do with Kidbrooke in South East London? I'm going to tell you. His ex-wife worked there. Now, she had left him only a couple of weeks before, and the main reason she had left him was because of domestic violence, and it was stated that actually he had throttled or strangled her a number of times, and that had led to her finally being like, enough's enough, and getting out. So fair play. Yeah. She got out. It is not an easy thing to do, and she holds no responsibility for the actions that come later. This is all him. So the killer had checked into this hotel, and his ex-wife worked there, and he had wanted to like proposition her for sex while he was staying in this hotel. Now, the staff at this hotel, they felt very uneasy about him being there. The headlines in the papers obviously make it out like they called the police prior to this murder and the police didn't do anything. But actually, it kind of seems like the police were called on the non-emergency line because he was being aggressive at the front desk, and there was a bit of a dispute over money. And then they realised that he lived really locally to this hotel, and they were like, okay, what's going on here? Like, you're arguing with us about money, but you've checked into this hotel where your ex-wife works, and now you're being aggressive at the front desk. So it wasn't...
Even though you live down the road.
Even though you live down the road. So they had concerns, but not to the extent that they knew he was going to go and do something atrocious. Yeah. They just felt that something was off. But the police were not dispatched.
It was more like making a report in case something did happen kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly that. So, you know, when it's like, I just want to let you know, blah, 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 in case this happens later and I need a paper trail of it.
Yeah.
So nothing happens with that. The police don't go out, but it's there, and it's on record. By Saturday the 18th at 5:30 p.m, the body of Sabina Nessa is found in Kidbrooke in South East London. Now, the fact that these two things are linked, like this case was closed quite quickly, and this isn't sort of like White House farm murders where is it, isn't it, blah, 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 blah. It's very clean cut. But the reason I really wanted to do this case was because I think it just highlights the violence and terror that women face, and the anger that these men, if you want to call them that, feel towards women because of their very, very baby fragile egos where they can't deal with rejection. So how did we end up in...
Super important.
Yeah, so important at the minute, and just, you know, is not... Even though it's talked about all the time, it's still not talked about enough, because we're still in this situation. Like, this case is happening, I think it's 6 months after the Sarah Everard murder, which I will also cover at another point. But how is that possible? How is it that we had the vigils and we were all up in arms and we all were saying women deserve better, and then this happened? And it's how did we get from this man being rejected in Eastbourne to South East London? So to put it into perspective, Eastbourne is, if you leave London and just keep going south till you hit the coast, that's Eastbourne. Driving, it's probably about an hour and 40 minutes on a good day with no traffic. So, you know, this isn't round the corner. Now, it said that after he left Eastbourne, he drove to Brighton, and it says that he was looking for someone to have a sexual encounter with. This is what the prosecution claim. Now, it doesn't explicitly say, is he going out to rape someone? Is he just going out to pick up a woman? It doesn't say. Based on what happens next, I'm going to go with the first one, that he's going out to try and rape a woman. You know, he is looking for a woman who is vulnerable.
Bad intentions.
Bad intentions. From Brighton, he then drives to the Cater estate in Kidbrooke. On his way, he stops at a Sainsbury's. I wouldn't be surprised if this was our local Sainsbury's, because that's the closest one to the Cater estate. And he bought a rolling pin. So this man does not have good intentions. He is not a pastry chef. He is a car mechanic.
He's not going home and baking,
No, hanging around in the Cater estate. He does not
With a rolling pin.
Yeah. And after about 20 minutes, he is walking, and he walks past Sabina Nessa. Oh, I'm so angry at
I already am fuming. Like, I'm already triggered by this whole thing.
Angry. Now, he sees Sabina Nessa walking alone through Kidbrooke Park. She was a 28-year-old woman. She was a primary school teacher at Rushy Green, and she was just said to have loved her job and loved her kids and just wanted to make a difference. Now, she was beautiful. She was absolutely stunning, but
categorically
beautiful. But I don't care that she was beautiful, and I don't care that she was walking alone, and I don't care what she was wearing, and I don't care about any of those things. It was a Friday night, and she had worked her backside off at her job with primary school children, and I cannot imagine anybody needing a Friday night more than a primary school teacher, because I teach secondary and I could not even look at a primary school. And she was going to meet her friend in the pub, and she walked through the park. She was doing nothing wrong. You know, everyone always wants to find something. Like, what were they doing? Nothing. She was living. She was just existing, walking through a park, going to visit her friend. And this horrific pit stain of a human being walked past her. So it was that kind of thing where they crossed paths. He continues to walk a bit, and she's walking, and then he turns around and really quickly runs back at her. Now, she must have felt uncomfortable, because on the CCTV, you can see her looking over her shoulder.
You can see him do that. You can see him turn around and run.
This is on the CCTV.
It's harrowing, isn't it?
See this. And so she must have heard his footsteps. She knew, like, as a woman, your spidey senses are always up already. It doesn't matter if it's broad daylight, you're on your own, you're with friends. It doesn't matter. Your spidey senses are always up. You don't wear your hair in a ponytail. You've got your only one headphone in. You are pretending to be on the phone. Do you remember when I called you when I was walking home and I pretended you were my boyfriend across the road? And I was like, oh, hey, babe, I can see you. She was terrified.
I think every woman has done that at some point in their life and called a friend or pretended to be on the phone.
Yeah.
Whether they're walking home or they're in an Uber or they're feeling in an uncomfortable situation. It's every single woman alive, I'm sure, has done that at some point.
And this happened so fast. It was a split second.
She didn't even have time to react.
And that's the thing, she did react. She fought. Like, she had defensive wounds on her arms. She fought as hard as she could. But he had taken the emergency triangle from the back of his car. Like, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like the metal triangle that you put out if you ever crash and need to warn cars well before. Yeah. He had taken that with him, and he hit her 34 times with this emergency triangle. And obviously she fell unconscious. She didn't stand like, oh, this is hurting my heart reading this one. She did not stand a chance. Like, her ribs were broken. Her liver was damaged. She must have been terrified. Women just live in this state of, like, hypervigilance. You know, she was already looking over her shoulder. She had previously said, you know, she lived in this area. She didn't like walking through the park to get to where she needed to go. But she just wanted to take a shortcut to the pub. Like, just let women exist.
And you just think it's not this time. Like, it's the one time that I do it. What are the chances that something's going to happen?
Honestly.
But it's just not worth it, is it? It's never worth it.
It's never worth it, but at the same time, it should be. Like, you should be allowed to. Me and my little legs get tired. I want a shortcut, you know, and I don't want to drive because I want to have a drink. Like, surely she was just existing. Okay, it gets worse. So, I mean, I'm already struggling, and it gets so much worse. He drags her unconscious out of view of the CCTV, and they are out of sight for about 20 minutes. The only time he comes back is to collect his stupid triangle. Oh! The order of what happens while they're off CCTV is obviously not clear because it's not documented with the video recordings. But she was asphyxiated. She was suffocated, whether that be strangulation. I'm not sure, but there's a couple of different things. They say asphyxiated. However, one source does say that she was throttled similarly to the ex-wife, so I'm going with it being strangulation.
And that was her cause of death?
Well, that and the liver and everything.
Yeah.
She was beaten to death. But it also, another source says that she was put in a chokehold. So I don't know, but she was asphyxiated.
God, that poor woman.
She had her boots, tights and knickers removed, but then her boots were put back on. Her top had been lifted to expose her bra, and she was positioned with her legs apart. Now, there are no reports to say that her vagina had been hurt and there was no semen, but it's still sexually motivated. This is 100%. And her tights and her knickers are gone. So if that's because it was considered like a trophy, or if it's because there was evidence on it, we don't know. But he tries to claim later that this wasn't sexually motivated, and it's like, honestly, go away. Like, crawl up in a hole and die. After this, he then tries to hide the body, so he covers it in loads of leaves and grass, and that meant that the body wasn't found till 5 p.m. the next day. So it's a Friday night. Wow. She doesn't get found till 5 p.m. the next day. He also wiped down this bench where he had beaten her, because he dragged her onto this bench and beaten her near this and on this bench. All of this was caught on CCTV. Him cleaning the bench, him and his stupid triangle. And at 8:56, he's just casually seen walking away. So 20 minutes later, just casually seen walking away. But despite all of this being on CCTV have this brilliant way of being above your head and pitch black. Now, seeing as humans can go to the moon, I would like to think that we could create CCTV cameras that you can actually see people on.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm just shocked that they even had CCTV there, to be honest with you. I know. And that it was working.
It's weird, though, because we live in London, like one of the biggest... No, you don't anymore. Sorry, my bad. At this time, you lived in London. I live in London. We are said to be caught on CCTV, what is it, like over 100 times a day?
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. And I'm like, where? Because every time somebody dies, the CCTV is not working. So is it all just like in places that deal with money? Because you care more about money?
Yeah.
Because we asked a CCTV above me and my self-checkout with them trying to check I'm not stealing garlic bread.
Oh my goodness. Make sure that you put in that you have 5 bananas, not 4. So you get 3 banana.
That is crystal clear. It picks up on every one of my whiteheads and chickenpox scars, but no.
Greasy hair
and dandruff, but God forbid we have it in all the dodgy alleyways where people are dumping mattresses and people are being murdered.
Yeah.
Sort your
Yep.
life out, people.
Yeah, priorities. Where are these priorities?
I am mad.
Oh, mad.
So this whole thing has been caught on our really rubbish CCTV, but they still can't identify who this man is.
Okay, wait, I have a question.
Go on.
You said that she was obviously on her way to meet her friend at the pub, and this all happened on her way there. Did anyone report her missing? You said she also said that she wasn't found until the following day. So was there a search for her, or did someone just happen to come across her body? Like,
yeah,
what?
No, it was a dog walker. A dog walker and his dog found her. No, she wasn't reported missing, which I don't know. It's a really hard one because if I was going to meet a friend at the pub and they didn't show up, I'd be like, oh, I don't know. Because I would definitely be the kind of person who'd fall asleep when I get home on the sofa.
Yeah, but you would within like a few hours, you would have woken up. You would have woken up and you would have messaged. I would definitely, if you were supposed to be meeting me at 8:30, and especially if it was just a me and you kind of thing. I don't know how many people she was supposed to be meeting, but you stood me up. I very much would have been concerned, and I would have called your mum and said,
I think that's the thing is
Catherine?
You would have gone for like, you have Jay's number, my mum's number, my son's number. Do you know what I mean? Like, but if it's a work colleague,
I still would be concerned. That I think I am the type of person.
Calling the police.
Maybe not necessarily the police, but I would find a way to contact someone in their life.
Yeah, you'd be all over Facebook and everything, being like,
exactly.
Yeah. I don't know. It's really hard. Like, I mean, the blame can't go on anyone but this awful person. But I can also see,
oh yeah, for sure,
why I would have been concerned much sooner.
Yeah.
And that's not to say they weren't concerned, but they were maybe like not sending out a search party yet, or not.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because if I remember correctly, now I haven't put this in my notes, but if I remember correctly, when this whole thing happened, when she was found, they had to wait to identify her. Like, they had to wait for the family to identify her. It wasn't like they went looking for her. They found the body first and then had to identify her. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the police trawl through so much CCTV, not just from the park, but they go to everyone in this area. So I don't know if you remember it, but it's quite a built up area. There's a lot of flats. There's a David Lloyd round the corner, literally 30-second walk. There is so much traffic going around. You're leading onto major A roads, so you've got a lot of through traffic. And so people are saying, can you look, the police are saying to everyone, please look at dash cam footage, ring doorbells, anything that you have that could like jigsaw piece this together so we can see what happened. And they are saying we're not ruling anything out, including a stranger. Now, this was so interesting to me because our fear is walking around being killed by a stranger or being harmed by a stranger, even though we are scared of it. Like, 90% of murders actually happen by somebody that you know. 10% are stranger murders. So it's really not that common. And so when the police are saying that, everyone's thinking, oh, let's look at this person or this person that she knew. Why would you be looking for this random incel of a man in freaking Eastbourne? Like, what? How do you even begin to get there? So they do actually manage to piece it all together. And I don't fully understand it, but basically they see him leaving the park. They can see like a car and a partial plate that he goes to. And then I think they're able to track him from that. And then they're obviously able to see like the CCTV footage from Sainsbury's. And then this car, because he basically gets rid of stuff as he's driving back to Eastbourne. And so they are able to jigsaw piece this together.
You said getting rid of stuff like what? Like the triangle, like the rolling pin and stuff like that?
Yeah, so the rolling pin actually was never used, but the triangle he had to get rid of. Weird, I know. The triangle he had to get rid of. And he arrives back at the hotel in Eastbourne at midnight. So his car is tracked all the way, like when they start investigating into this, they can see his car driving back to Eastbourne and getting back to this hotel at midnight, and he checks out the next morning. It takes, so she's found on the 18th, he is arrested on the 27th of September. So it really doesn't actually take them that long.
Yeah.
Now I'm sure for the family this feels like a freaking lifetime, but the fact that they were able to do this purely through CCTV, I mean, it's amazing, because how you would link this random person to London, you know, it's just so, without CCTV and technology and, you know, how would you do it? How would you do it? Yeah. On Thursday, the 16th of December, he pleads not guilty. But his barrister says he accepts responsibility for the killing.
Excuse me? How? What? What?
Make it make sense.
Make it make sense. What?
If I'm driving along and I hit you with my car, right? I've not murdered you. I've killed you. I've not intentionally murdered you. Like, this is where there's the difference between murder and manslaughter, right? So I can say, I accept responsibility for what happened. I was driving dangerously. I was texting and driving. I was drunk. Like, but I have not thought about it and intentionally gone there to kill someone or to kill you. I haven't gone out in my car with the intention of running someone over.
Yeah.
So how are you accepting responsibility but saying you're not guilty?
Yeah, when you've went out and
found someone.
You left your car with the triangle in hand with the idea that you were going to attack someone.
Yeah.
Like, why else would you have been carrying your triangle around? Why else would you have walked past this woman and then ran back at her?
Yeah, exactly. There is... It does not make any sense.
Oh, I hate him so much.
However, on February the 25th, he does change his plea to guilty. So
that was, what, 4 months, 6 months, 5? I don't know how many months that was later.
2 months. So Thursday the 16th of December is when he pleads not guilty.
Okay.
And February the 25th is when he changes his plea to guilty. So I did a little bit of research on how a plea affects the sentencing and procedures. So my only reference to this is domestic violence. So when someone is charged with an incident of domestic violence like assault or GBH or ABH, if they plead not guilty, and then they can change their plea any time up until the day of the hearing, the court case, and they will have the same reduction in time as if they had pled guilty the whole time. So it's a massive flaw in the system, because essentially what it means is, like, the victim then has to go the 6-month wait. And the reason is because the defence lawyer will say plead not guilty in the hopes that the victim doesn't turn up on the day. And then if they don't turn up, it just gets thrown out.
Okay.
So that's the only thing that I know. But that's not the case for all offences. So if you plead guilty at your first arraignment, it will not go to trial, and you get a reduction of a third. So wherever your sentence is, then you'd get a reduction of a third if you plead guilty.
So if you have just admitted to the fact that you've done it, then you get a third less in prison.
Yeah.
What the... What?
Because you're not going through the whole process of a trial. You are essentially already showing I did it. Yeah,
so why does that mean that you get rewarded? Like, I understand that you're being held accountable and you're holding yourself accountable for your actions, but you've just admitted to being guilty to murdering someone, and you're getting a third off. And a third is a long time as well. If you're given a 20-year sentence, you're only going to be in there for like 13, 14 years. That's a lot of time off.
Don't forget, when the judge hands down the sentence, they will know exactly that you have already pled guilty. So whatever they give you, a third is going to come off. So there are so many guidelines when a judge is handing down a sentence. It is like, did you do this, a year for this, a year take off for that? It's like freaking maths equations. Do you know what I mean? If it's at the arraignment, the first one, it's a third. If it is done any time before the trial, so in between your arraignment and the trial beginning, it's a quarter. And if it's on the first day of your trial, it's a tenth.
Okay.
Now, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a barrister. I'm actually a bit of an idiot. So if I've got that wrong, we wouldn't be surprised. However...
Don't sue us.
They can't sue us.
Oh,
Who's going to sue us? What, the whole British judicial system? Being like, there's a pair of idiots who got our sentencing guidelines wrong.
Spreading false information.
Okay.
Arrested.
Oh, can you imagine? I could have a little nap in there.
3 meals a day, TV, naps.
Peace and quiet. No, do you know what? I say that, but the toilets, no. The showers, no. Couldn't do it. I would not survive 5 minutes in prison. I wouldn't.
Just simply because of the toilet situation.
The toilets, the food, like, you know those plastic trays that you used to have school dinners on? They definitely don't wash properly and smell funny. But I think that's just American prisons, actually, so I might be talking nonsense. Anyway. The murderer refused to leave the prison for sentencing, and he wouldn't attend via video link. Now, the judge says this is just cowardly behaviour, and I tend to agree, because it's like, what, you think you don't have to sit there and face the family, and you just think, essentially, he's like, yeah, I just don't care. Like, he's vile, like, honestly. And the judge actually sees this as a sign that he lacked remorse. Because that's when the family gets to read out their victim impact statements. Yeah. And it's like, you should have to listen to this. You're the one who took her away from us. Yeah. This isn't for anyone else's... Like, I get it's cathartic for the family, but you should know what you have caused. You owe it to them to shut up and sit down and listen to what they have to say. But this is
I didn't even know that you could refuse to go to that as a...
Well, what can they do? They can tack more time onto your sentence, I suppose, but what can they do? They can't drag you out. Like, he's already pled guilty. But this is just another sign of, like, his abusive and controlling behaviour. He's just an awful person. Now, the sentencing document for this case was very, very interesting. Like I said, it's all a bit of a maths equation. Due to the sexual nature of it, the minimum you can start with is 30 years. So we're off to a good start. And as I was reading through this document, I genuinely felt like the judge was trying to be like, oh, yeah, we'll just chuck a year on there. Yeah, let's just chuck a year on there. Do you know what I mean? Like, I understood that they really felt this, you know? Yeah. It wasn't, I just think judges must have to have some kind of, I don't know, I'd be like, chuck them away. I don't want to know. Yeah. Oh, what's that? Good behaviour? Well, you couldn't behave now, so you're not going to behave then. Like, I just couldn't with things like this.
Naughty list.
Naughty list, and that's that, and Sam won't hear anything else about it. The murder was premeditated. She was targeted because, do you know what? I actually need to say her name as much as humanly possible. Sabina was targeted because she was a lone female, and this coward knew that he could overpower her in that situation. She was caught off guard. The defence is like, oh, you need to take into consideration that he pled guilty, he hasn't got any previous convictions, and I honestly don't give a flying monkeys. Like, I don't care. We know, okay, he wasn't convicted for his ex-wife's abuse, but she got herself out. That is a feat in itself. To then have to get your ex convicted is so hard. Yeah. I get it. I know that you can get a more lenient sentence if you plead guilty, but in this situation, I just don't think it matters.
No.
Like, I don't think you going, yeah, I did it, so what? Like, I don't think that that's a case of you should have time taken off. Not for
pat on the back,
murder.
well done for admitting it. Like, no,
yeah, well done for
definitely
being the bigger person, or well done for, like, what a big boy managing to own up to the fact that you killed an innocent woman because you had your little baby ego dented. No. And the judge also says, you know, he's got no remorse. He won't turn up to listen to the victim impact statements. So he went round looking for a woman to hurt. He is a threat to society. Whatever way you slice it, he's a threat to society.
Yeah.
And I don't personally think that there is an amount of time that you could give him that would make him not a threat to society. In my opinion, I just don't. So as the defence was saying this stuff, like, oh, he pled guilty, I was like, please do not lower this from 30 years. Surely you can't take a third off of 30 years. But the judge was like, okay, yeah, see your point. He pled guilty straight away, but that's irrelevant. And also, yes, he wasn't convicted of assault on his ex, but still irrelevant. He did it. So actually, the minimum is now going to be 39 years. And the defence is like, we want it reduced by an 1/8 or a 10th. And the judge goes, I'll knock 3 years off.
Nice.
And I mean, a 10th of that is 3.9 years. So even still, they're going with less than a 10th. So whoever this judge is, well freaking done.
Well, buy them a drink.
Well, yeah, 100%. And I've called him a twat waffle in here, but the murderer, I was so angry when I was typing this. I was like, he says, I did not remove her clothes. I did not position her like that. I didn't expose her.
Yeah, it was a fox that took her tights and knickers off and then put her boots back on.
And put the boots back on!
Yeah, as if.
But also, what you're saying is that you murdered her, left her, and another psychopath just happened to stumble across her dead body and then do these things to her. In what world? So not only are you a psychopath, but you're also stupid.
Yeah.
Like, you're also just an idiot.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you are a vile, despicable human being, and you're not even intelligent.
Yeah.
I mean, really, no wonder your ex wanted to get out. You had nothing going for you whatsoever. Like, he did not deserve his ex's skid marks, let alone her.
You're really triggered. Skid marks, pit stain, twat waffle. We have heard it all today. You're just letting it out in every which way. I'm here for it.
I don't want to swear.
You've just said twat waffle.
That's not a swear word.
Twat isn't a swear word.
I didn't say twat. I said twat waffle.
What's a twat then? Is twat not twat?
I don't know. It's just a word. What is a twat waffle? Who knows? But equally, I can't call him things like a numpty because that's too cute. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And you're not even like a poo is useful. Do you know what I mean? You can't be like, if you are a poo, he's not even a poo. The skid mark is the not useful bit. That's the embarrassing bit that you have to endure washing out of teenage boys' pants and just know that they pooed. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, that's it. Exactly. That is the feeling that he evokes in people.
Oh,
like God. A poo, you're like, yeah, it smells, but you had to get it out.
And we flush it away and it's fine.
We flush it away. That chicken and chips yesterday's got to go somewhere. A skid mark, that's never coming out of your pants.
Oh, God, we are such ladies.
Those boxes are ruined. And I'm saying boxers because girls don't leave skid marks.
No, never. Literally never in my life.
I don't know how men manage to do it so much.
Nor do I! What is up with that?
Wipe your bums!
And why do they continue to wear white boxers? I just don't understand.
Shake your willies and wipe your bums, and if not, only wear black boxers.
Literally.
I am very angry today.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. So I think the reason that he was like,
Wait.
Oh no.
I'm just going.
You're right.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah. No. Why do they wear white boxers? I'm ready. I'm sorry. Yes. Woo! I'm ready. Back to serious.
Okay, we can do it. It's just, if you don't laugh, you will. I mean, I've cried, I've laughed, who knows what's going to happen. I think the reason that he said, I murdered her, but I didn't do anything else, is because in prison, it's worse to be a sexual predator or a paedophile than it is to be a murderer. Do you know what I mean? And because in prison, it's like, they wouldn't necessarily, they would see the news, but really, they wouldn't necessarily know the ins and outs of your case. So you can just say you're in there for murder.
Yeah.
But to say you're in for sexual assault, But that just makes me think even more that you're, like, more manipulative and more, like, thinking it through. Do you know?
Just deny kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Because he cares more about how other serial killers and murderers and rapists are going to think about him than than the rest of society. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And he's worried he's going to get hurt in prison, and I just think, I wonder what that's
he's
like.
He's still only thinking about himself.
I wonder what that is like, living every single day, looking over your shoulder, wondering if you are going to be hurt. I wonder what it's like.
Wow.
I hope you feel like that every single day. I hope you feel how she felt in that 10 minutes every single day for the rest of your life. And do you know what? I hope you get beaten up too. Yeah. I won't wish murder on you because I think that's too quick. But
just
I just hope you get beaten up regularly. So now I just want to talk about the fact that this was not the first thing he ever did. Like, I just don't believe it. I know he didn't have a criminal record, and he didn't have a criminal record, so he wasn't originally from England. He didn't have a criminal record from his home country either. And I don't buy it. I don't care that he wasn't convicted of it. He must have hurt women before. Like, these things escalate. They don't just come out of the blue. And I think it's stalking, harassment, domestic violence, assault of women, sexual harassment. Nothing is taken seriously enough in a court of law. And then all of a sudden, when someone's killed, we're like, oh no, we didn't see this coming. Yeah. And every woman in the world is like, no, we did.
Yeah, we've been telling you, yeah.
We're literally screaming about this all the freaking time.
Yeah.
Like,
you're just not listening.
You're just not listening. And the sentences are pathetic when they are domestic violence cases. And harassment, it's like, oh, that's too hard to prove. Stalking, that's too hard to prove. Do you know what? Make it less hard to prove. Do your job and just believe us, and just make it so that we don't have to be so terrified that the only time you're going to listen to us is when we're having a vigil because someone's died.
Yeah. Like, and even then, it doesn't last long.
It doesn't last long. And maybe this resonates because she's me. She's a young teacher in southeast London, walking around, just living her freaking life. Like, and I think that's why, there's also the thing of she did not get as much publicity as a white woman would have got. And I hate to say it, and I hate that that still exists, but it's true. People didn't know her name as much as Sarah Everard.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that Sarah Everard's name should not have been out there as much as it was, because it should have been, and we should have been as up in arms and as angry as we were. But the same should have happened for Sabina Nessa 6 months later.
Yeah.
And the only difference was that she was white and Sabina Nessa was brown. Like, that's the only thing I can see possibly that was different with that,
Yeah.
Now, I've got a couple of updates. The murderer's father made a statement that he has daughters, and I had quite a lot of respect for this, because he came out and he was like, he was so sad that this incredible young woman has lost her life. He cannot believe that his son has done this. And do you know what? I'm really glad he's not defending him. Having said that, I wonder what warning signs were there first, because you raise a boy and you see how they talk about women, you see how they treat women, you see how angry they are. My ex's family protected me from him at times. And then when it came to the court case, sat there and called me a liar. Even though his mum had to stand in front of me when he picked up a hammer to attack me with it. You see the warning signs and you choose to ignore it. And I am a parent. I get it. You want to defend and protect your child till the ends of the earth. If my son put his hands on a woman, I will love him, but I will march him to the freaking police station myself. You create or you ignore or whatever it is, there are warning signs. I don't believe that there's not.
But ignorance is not an excuse.
Ignorance is not an excuse. No, you cannot turn a blind eye to this kind of behaviour.
No.
Do you know, the pulling,
Definitely.
it starts so young as well. Like, no, you don't fancy a girl because you pull her hair.
Listen.
So, update. The killer stabbed a prison guard in May of 2023. Yeah. So the prison guard went to his cell and said, like, it was time to go down for lunch or something. And the killer went mental, smashed up the toilet, got a piece of porcelain, and stabbed the guard in the forearm. So I'm guessing that was like a defensive wound.
Yeah.
And also in the knee.
Oh.
And he's been given an extra 4.5 years, which...
Nice. The prison guard was okay?
Prison guard was fine. Obviously, fine, but not fine. Like, you're also stabbed by
by a
lunatic.
By a lunatic. Sorry. I'm sorry. That was awful. That was very insensitive.
He commented on how strong the killer was. And I just think, like, if you are in that job, you have training, I suppose. You can't, you actually, they don't have a huge amount of training, but they have training. They know that these things could happen.
Yeah, of course, it's part of the job.
And he was caught off guard and shocked and commented on how strong the killer was. Imagine how Sabina Nessa felt. She didn't stand a chance.
Yeah.
He will be eligible for parole when he is 73, and I hope he doesn't get it.
No.
I hope he doesn't get it. I hope he doesn't get it, and I hope he dies in prison. And I don't want to end talking about him. I actually want to end on her because she just deserves it, and he doesn't deserve anything. And so I just wanted to read a little extract from the victim impact statement from Sabina Nessa's parents. Our beautiful, loving, caring, and funny daughter is no more. This is... Oh, I can't do it. I can't do it. Hold on.
Do you want me to read it?
No, I'm okay. I'm going to do it. I mean, I don't know how they read it. Like, how on earth did they do this?
Yeah. I won't wish that on anyone.
Oh. Our beautiful, loving, caring, and funny daughter is no more. This is so hard to digest. As a parent, you would never have thought that your child would die before you. Not in a way that our daughter Sabina did. You had no right to take her away from us in such a cruel way. The moment the police officer came into our house and told us she was found dead, our world shattered into tiny pieces, and these pieces cannot be put back together. How could you ever do such a thing to an innocent girl walking by, minding her own business? You are not a human being, you are an animal. Sabina died in a way that no one should die, and this will torment us for the rest of our lives. They wrote, their statement was a lot longer. I just wanted to pick out a couple of bits, and I think the strength to stand up and say that, and the fact that he refused to attend, I just think you don't deserve anything. This is so cringy, and I might cut this out.
Oh, God.
I might cut this out afterwards, but while I was doing all of this, I wrote something that's not for, like, it's for Sabina and this whole case, but it's just about the bigger picture, that this doesn't start when someone's murdered. This doesn't start when a woman is hurt. Like, this is a societal issue, and every man who's like, not all men, needs to understand the role that they play in this. So I'm not going to look at your face while I read this because I'll die. I'm not causing a rift between women and men. I want love and a team, and maybe then we can address the problem and not make excuses for the violence and threats that are made by abusers. So stop telling us, not all men. We can't tell if you're a lion or a sheep, or maybe a sheepdog who will help us when we scream fire, rape, don't touch me, leave. I have a boyfriend, I'm not interested, please. But so many walk by and just think, lads, she's clothed, she's drinking, her friends will come to her aid. So you walk on by, you're not the problem. You didn't touch her, right? Then one day you have a daughter and the world looks different. There's threats and predators wherever you turn. And they could have been the friend's wolf whistles you ignored, or the time you heard it but just walked past that door. Or you saw them following her and thought maybe she knows them. You knew she didn't, but hey, she's not your problem. So now your baby goes out into the world, a world that you created, but it wasn't really you. You weren't the problem. You just let them do what they wanted to do. So why should you care if that woman feels safe? But now it's your baby who could be crying rape, who could be yelling for help as that man walks by and thinks she's clothed, she's drinking, she isn't mine, but she's yours, and now you wish they stopped to help because they were bigger, they could have done something. Why didn't they? Cowards, you think, as you hold your baby girl, but at least you're not the problem, it's the rest of the world.
Wow, that was really, really powerful.
Thanks. I just think I'm just really sick of this attitude of like,
it's not me, not all
it's
men.
not me, I'm not doing it, not all men. And I have a son, and I think it's more my responsibility to raise him right than it is someone to raise their daughter to know how to defend herself. And so, yeah, this case really got me. It really got me. But I'm glad we did
for
it.
sharing it. It was an important one to share. I'm glad that we covered it well.
And let's do something fun. So
next week.
Well, we're not doing next week.
What do you mean?
How have you forgotten? We had a meeting yesterday.
Yeah.
Not yesterday, the day before yesterday.
Yeah.
We're not doing next week.
We
love this so much. We're doing this week.
Oh!
We love this
so much.
And not just this, like I love recording with you, but I also am obsessed with researching and writing and like getting involved with things that I don't know, I just love it. So we're going to do twice a week for as long as we can manage.
Yeah.
So this is coming out on Monday the 6th. So your next episode will be from Rosie Posey on Friday the 10th. What are you telling me about?
I am telling you about Carol Morgan, whose, spoiler alert, murder went unsolved for 43 years.
Whoa.
Yes. Lots to uncover there. I'm looking forward to it. Slightly different to some of the ones that we've covered so far.
Yeah, Jay wants me to do like conspiracy theories and stuff, and I'm like, I'll see. I've had a great suggestion from someone on Threads, so I'm going to start looking into that. But don't forget to call me on my birthday.
Okay, so what are you doing on your actual birthday?
I don't know. It's my 30th. I've asked for all surprises. Every year I plan my own birthday. I buy my own presents. And this year I said I'm not doing anything. But I said I want them to go all out. I want to feel like a birthday princess.
Good. Perfect.
And that's not like materialistically. That's just like, you know, run me a bath.
Yeah.
Make me a tea in bed.
Yeah.
You know?
It's weird. Nobody's invited me down, so it can't be that great.
You don't need an invite to come to my house. When have I ever invited you to my house? My mother literally says to you, are you coming home for Christmas? And you were like, no, I'm not actually.
Sometimes it's nice to get an invite. Rosie
Posey, please would you come to London on my birthday?
I can't afford it, I'm unemployed.
You twat waffle.
You skid stain.
I love you.
I love you too. Bye. Ew. Don't do that.